While the UK's unemployment rate has continued to fall, the number of job vacancies is at a record high of around 1.2 million. The Great Resignation is a phenomenon affecting several developed economies. Workers are quitting and defecting for higher wages and better conditions. It's been spurred on by the pandemic, which has led many to rethink their priorities and search for better work-life balance, leaving businesses facing a new set of challenges. Natalie Powell reports.
Rethinking the world of work, could businesses take inspiration from the beautiful game? Footballers are regularly transferred for tens of millions of dollars as one club meets the buyout fee of another. And employment consultancy Advanced Workplace Associates believes this principle should apply in the world of business too.
Clearly, if you've invested heavily in the skills and development of people, the last thing you want to do is to see them disappearing out the door. So in the sporting world, there are some interesting parallels. You know, you hire a player, they sign on for 3, 4, 5 years, whatever the contract is. And often there are get-out clauses, buyout clauses. And if another organisation comes in and is interested in that player, then of course they have to pay a transfer fee. In my mind, I'm wondering whether there is something similar that we might be thinking about in terms of the contract for employees.
The concept may be skewed in favour of the employer, but Mawson argues transparency with a potential employee will be key.
Now, I'm not trying to lock them in, but if you think about it, if we create a kind of pathway for an individual, a remuneration package, then it seems to me quite reasonable that in return, maybe there is a loyalty payment at the end. Or it could be, as I say, you put in buyout clauses into the contract, and either they have to buy themselves out or the new employer has to.
Retaining staff they've spent money on training is a major challenge for employers, especially with so many jobs up for grabs in the current market.
According to the Office for National Statistics, UK job vacancies hit a record high of almost 1.2 million between August and October. And there are concerns that with more openings becoming available, workers could be easily enticed away from their current employers.
Gail Blake from recruitment company Hayes says while she can see why introducing financial penalties would be attractive to an employer wanting to hold on to its staff, it could dissuade employees from joining an organisation in the first place.
Because ultimately they do invest an awful lot of money in people throughout their careers, but they're not in the driving seat at the moment. It is a candidate short market. KPMG are saying that we're at a 15-year low of candidate availability. Most amount of jobs, least amount of supply. To then put a caveat and to say, actually, if you want to learn and thrive in this organisation, that's fine, but we're going to monetarise that and we're going to penalise you if you leave. That would put a massive barrier, I think.
Blake says a better way of attracting workers would be to offer yearly bonuses and a signing-on fee to be partially paid back if the candidate were to leave the role early.
So a way of, for example, is saying, we'll give you a signing-on bonus, and then at the end of year 2, year 3, or year 4, we will give you a certain amount of shares that you can invest in the long term. So it's kind of meeting the short-term demands, while also giving them that lovely carrot to say, and this is why you should stick around.
Either way, with workers' expectations changing and the market tipped in their favour, employers will need to change their ways or end up short of the skilled labour they need. Natalie Powell, TRT World, London.
For more on this, Hilary Ingham joins us from Lancaster, UK. She is a senior lecturer of economics at Lancaster University. Many thanks for being with us today.
Okay.
We've just heard it, the most amount of jobs and the least amount of supply. What is needed really to get workers back? What's behind all of this?
Well, I think this is really something that was not expected from the pandemic, but I think what it's done is a lot of people have sort of taken a sort of rethink about where they want their careers to go. So what we've actually found is that some people have decided it's a lifestyle choice. Some older workers have actually retired, maybe a couple of years earlier than they might have planned to. There are other parents that have decided not to work full-time in the labour market, but to spend some time at home. But what has come out of this is that some of the people that are leaving their jobs are because they don't think they were treated very well by their employers during the pandemic. in terms of the actual support they got. Because for some people, working from home was quite straightforward, but for others, the technological issues, the availability of workspace, combining work with childcare and homeschooling, if they felt they didn't get the support, then they're not staying with that employer, because as you've been reporting, there's record numbers of vacancies and they feel they can work for someone who will support them better.
Right. Hilary, some economists say that the fact that equity markets were soaring this year, some crypto markets are also surging, this all played a role in all this, with people preferring to trade rather than going back to work. Do you agree with this?
I think there might be a certain amount of that, but I think it's mainly people looking to move from job to job as opposed to completely moving out of the labour market into something like trading cryptocurrencies. I mean, I don't dispute that is happening, but I think it's a fairly minor occupation, really.
In the UK, we saw unemployment kept falling despite the end of the furlough scheme. Do you expect this trend to continue?
I think it'll fall slightly more. I think, for most people that want a job, there are jobs there. The problem now is getting people to fill these vacancies. So I think we'll be looking at something going maybe down, to 4% exactly early next year.
Right, and also one question on the Omicron variant. The last data release we have was related to October, so that's before the emergence of the Omicron variant. What do we know so far in terms of the potential impact of new restrictions?
Well, we don't know very much at all, really, as they've only just about, come into force and they're being debated in Parliament as we speak. I mean, there seems to be a desire to get more people working from home again. So if that does happen, then that does have effects on city centres, because people aren't going out buying lunch, they're not doing shopping during their lunch break. So I think that could have a sort of slight dampening effect on, say, the retail sector. At the minute, there's no signs of sort of more stricter restrictions in terms of people being told to stay at home or less hospitality mixing. That seems to be okay for the minute. So I don't think, as we are now, this new variant is going to have major impacts on economic activity. But of course, we don't know what is going to happen when there's more mixing over Christmas. I think we're going to have to wait till January, really, to find out what the likely impacts of this new strain of the virus are. Right.
This week will be very busy with central banks meetings and decisions on monetary policy. What do you expect central banks to do this week, and especially the Bank of England? And will this decision change the picture much, in your opinion?
No, I don't think they're going to do anything, actually, because I think what they're going to be fearing now is that there might be signs of slight slowdown in the economy, and I don't think they want to do anything to choke off any recovery. I think what you had on your programme previously was correct, that they might scale back the asset purchases, but I don't think they're going to do anything moving interest rates till into 2022.
Many thanks for being with us today.
Okay, thanks very much. Bye.